Hi, I'm Matt Hornback with Modular Driven Technologies, and today I'm going to show you how to zero your match rifle with as few rounds as possible. After that, we're going to test some factory match ammo, and I'll show you a foolproof way of selecting the right ammo for your rifle. It's good practice to zero your rifle every outing with the ammunition you intend to use. Never trust a zero from one ammunition to the next. We use 100-yard zero, 100-meter zero, whatever system that you work in, because it's close enough to shoot accurately, but it's far enough to not have to battle scope height over bore issues. It also is a very good distance for not having interference with wind or other environmental factors. Today I'll be shooting one of my personal match rifles chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. I've taken the scope on and off a couple times and put it on various rifles. So this is a good opportunity to show you my method to zero in as few rounds as possible. The target that we're going to use today is very simple. It's just a white piece of printer paper with this orange stick-on dot in the center of it. Now this orange stick-on dot already has a pretty small black diamond in the center of it, but we're going to go ahead and use a technique called the refined aiming point, and we're going to aim at that bottom tip of the black diamond. This gives us a super precise point of aim so we can get as close to zero as we possibly can. Now this technique can be used with different types of targets, such as a piece of tape, other store-bought targets. Just remember to find the smallest distinguishable spot to aim at so you can be as precise as possible. All right, I've already got my rifle oriented at the target, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a nice relaxed prone position behind the rifle. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out so I can find that target. Zoom in all the way. My max power is 25 on this. It's pretty clear, but we're gonna go ahead and clear that target picture up in scope using the parallax knob on the side of the rifle. Now, one thing to note on parallax knob settings is most scopes, they're an approximation. So you really have to clean up that target with the parallax knob and fine tune it to what you're actually seeing. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and apply the 4 fundamentals like we previously covered in the 4 fundamentals series. I'm straight behind the rifle. Got a solid, steady position. I'm slowing my breathing down. I've got a really good sight picture on that target where I want the reticle to be. I'm going to run the bolt forward, and then when I'm ready to, and the rifle is perfectly centered on that target, squeeze the trigger. And I'm going to repeat this a couple times until I'm comfortable with it, and I feel up to the task of putting live ammo in the gun and making accurate shots. All right, we got 5 rounds loaded up. I'm gonna go ahead and take 2 shots at that bottom tip of the diamond as precisely as possible, and then we'll go ahead and measure from there. All right, I've got 2 holes the bottom left of my target. They're a little bit farther apart than I'd like to see, but we're gonna go ahead and go to the center of those holes, the average of those 2 holes, and measure with our reticle, which is nothing more than a ruler. And we're gonna go ahead and measure vertically first and then horizontally. So my scope is in mil radians. This would work the same if you were working in minutes of angle. The turrets are in 1/10 mil, and the reticle is broken down into 2/10 mils. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my reticle and put the center dot right where I was aiming, the bottom tip of that diamond, and I'm gonna measure horizontally. And it looks like 9/10 low is where those bullets struck. And if I go to the middle of those 2, it looks like I'm about 0.7 to 0.8 left. I'm gonna go ahead and dial 0.8, and then I'm gonna go ahead and dial 0.9 up. And I'm gonna send one more shot at the bottom tip of the diamond that I was aiming at before. Now that shot landed very, very close to the bottom tip of that diamond. Now, 1/10 of a mil is approximately 0.36 inches at 100 yards. Now, if I add 1/10 right to that, I will be further away on the right side than I am on the left side right now. So I'm going to call this a good solid 0 because I'm within that range of my turret adjustments already. Now that our rifle has a good solid 0, we're going to go ahead and confirm that 0 by shooting a 5-round group with the ammunition that we zeroed with. After that, we're going to test the accuracy of the other factory match ammo offerings by shooting 5-round groups as well. We shoot 5-round groups because statistically it's better than 3, and it's a good number so that our barrel doesn't overheat or we induce shooter error due to fatigue. All right, we'll go ahead and shoot our first group with the ammunition that we zeroed with. We'll take our time and make some good trigger presses. When we have a good solid 0 on the rifle, we want to go ahead and confirm that 0. When we've confirmed our 0, we'll go ahead and slip the turrets. Now, every scope manufacturer has a different approach to slipping turrets or their 0 stop. Some are as easy as an Allen wrench and a nut. Some take Torx head bits. Some are shim kits. So you really have to read your scope's manual and figure out how your scope is resettable to 0. It's really important so that you know your 0 is on 0. Now I'm going to finish shooting the remaining 4 factory match ammo offerings and we'll compare the results. Alright, I went down and got our target board so we can take a closer look at this. Number 1 is the first 5-round group out of the rifle with the ammunition that we zeroed with. Doesn't look too bad. The next one is the next factory load. The next one, number 3, I opened up a little bit. Number 4 is the next factory load, and then number 5 is the final one that we fired, and it doesn't look like the rifle really liked that at all. So we'll go ahead and measure these with a digital caliper and get an exact size out of it. And we'll go ahead and measure it in inches and then convert it to minutes of angle because we really want to know how accurate the rifle is in minutes of angle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to precisely measure every group of these factory match offerings. And how we're going to do that is with a digital caliper. You can use a dial caliper, and if you don't have calipers, you can use a tape measure ruler, but just know that using a tape measure ruler, you will not be as precise. What we're after is precise results, and we'll go ahead and notate those. How we're going to do this is we're going to zero out our caliper, and we're going to measure from the widest point to the widest point on each group. Now there's 2 methods to do this. You can find the center of those holes and measure that way, or you can measure the outside to outside and subtract your bullet diameter. For instance, we shot a 6.5 millimeter bullet, so we would subtract 0.264 inches from our group size. We'll start with group number 1. We will find the center to center on that widest part, and it looks right about 0.441, and we'll go ahead and write that down and repeat the process for the other groups. Now that we've shot all of the different factory match ammo offerings, we see that 2 groups clearly stand out. Now these 2 groups are what I expect from a factory match ammo offering out of my match rifle. We're going to further analyze these by shooting them over a chronograph so we can see the average speed as well as the difference in speed from round to round. Now what I'm looking for is the window from the slowest shot to the fastest shot is as narrow as possible. And what that allows me to do is have confidence when I shoot a target a very long distance that one round impacts very close to the other in terms of elevation. I don't want one round going over the top of the target and the other round going below the target. I need to use that muzzle velocity average in my ballistic solver so I can get accurate and precise hits on steel. One of the greatest tools a precision rifle shooter can have is a good chronograph. It's the basis of a lot of our data that we're going to use to push out extended ranges. We really need to know what a good muzzle velocity average is so we can input it into our ballistic solvers. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot load number 1 and load number 2 over the chronograph, 5 rounds each, and we'll look at the results. We're going to start with the ammunition that we zeroed with. We'll notice that the average for load number 1 is 2,776 feet per second. The box stated that the average would be around 2,690 feet per second, so there's quite a bit of difference. We're going to use that average to plug into our ballistic solver to get accurate dope for shooting at distance. The next numbers we want to look at are the min and max values. We're going to subtract those two and come up with our extreme spread for this 5-round group, which happens to be 24 feet per second, which is not bad for factory ammo. The next number we want to look at is a standard deviation. Now, standard deviation is a measure of the amount of variation or dispersion of a set of values. A low standard deviation indicates that the values tend to be close to the average of the set, while a high standard deviation indicates that the values are spread over a wider range. We want both the standard deviation and the extreme spread to be as small a number as possible, so that when we take our shots, we know that one shot will be close as possible to the next in terms of elevation. That's looking pretty good. Let's see if the second load fared a little bit better. Looking at load number 2, we have an average of 2,740, which is still quite a bit higher than the box list of 2,710 feet per second. Now, this may not seem like a significant number, but if we plug in the wrong values to our ballistic solver, we're going to get bad results at distance. The next numbers we're looking at is the extreme spread. Subtract the minimum from the maximum, and we get, again, 24 feet per second. This is pretty good results from factory match ammunition. The standard deviation, 9.4. 0.2 higher than our load number 1, but still a very good result. Comparing both of these factory match ammo offerings, I would choose number 1 over number 2. The group size of number 1 is slightly better than number 2, and so are the velocity results. Now I suggest taking both of these loads out and evaluating the distance and recording those results. When we finally selected the right ammunition for a rifle, buy as much of that same lot as you possibly can so that your results are as consistent as possible. In summary, we learned how to precisely zero our rifle without wasting a whole box of ammo. We also analyzed results from several different factory match ammo loads in order to choose the best one for our rifle. Now, this process can be used with any rifle platform to really analyze the data and pick the ammo that rifle likes the most. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time.